guys, so back in the little seated spot, I wanted to talk about my yoga certification. So I think I mentioned in last week's video that I completed it. And then I finally got the notification from them, and then once they approved it and they sent me their little certification, I then submit my completed certification to the Yoga Teacher Alliance. So you have to sign up on there, you create an account, and then you upload your certificate, I believe, and then they contact, there's a drop down menu on the Yoga Teacher Alliance website that has a list of all their approved schools. So if yours isn't on there, it's not going to get approved because it's a whole monopoly, right? And they then reach out. So if you put whatever school, blah, blah, they obviously do cross references, whatever, make sure that you actually completed the course. And if they don't hear back within 2 weeks from your school that you put, then I guess it's no, you're not getting approved by us. So they did. They got whatever approved, and then now I haven't done yet. I have to pay, it's $55 for the application fee for a first time approval, and then it's $65, I believe, every year after that to complete being certified. And then you have to take continuing education, hours and stuff like that. And then once you get if I go on to take the 300-hour certification, which is what you do after the 200, and then you become a 500-hour yoga teacher, then there's certain teaching hour requirements that you need, a certain amount of hours teaching to be able to get that. But honestly, it's not needed. So that was my hang up this entire time, was it's all marketing. It's not, you don't have to have this random certification that this group of people created the Yoga Alliance, not even that long ago, a few years ago. I'll pop up the year on the screen if I remember to research it. But you can teach yoga if you know yoga and you know the asanas and you know the meaning and the history and the breathing and all that. You can teach it. You don't need a certification to teach. But let's say I want to go and teach at a gym or the YMCA or something like that. That's what they look for. So it's at least you have some education and knowledge, and you're not just saying it, because otherwise it's a trust thing, right? So there's that. And it feels good to be able to say that too. Even though I've been practicing yoga longer than most people who are already teaching, so it's kind of like that. But yeah, I'm glad I did it. So the program that I did was called YogaRenew, and it's completely online. During COVID, let's start there. Basically, obviously, you couldn't do a yoga teacher training during COVID because everything was shut down. And obviously 200 hours, that's a lot of time. So usually a yoga teacher training would be over the course of multiple weekends. So you'd be there all day, Saturday and Sunday, obviously for people who work. And then there are also immersive ones where it would be 2-3 weeks long. And you go to Bali or some crazy island, or you go to the studio every single day. And it's from 9 a.m. to 5 o'clock. And you learn, and you learn how to teach, and in person. Now, obviously, being in person for something like yoga is helpful because you can actually, when you're practicing teaching, you're gonna either be practicing your peers or maybe shadowing in a class or something. You can actually touch your students and help with alignments and stuff like that. But this program had always been online. And during COVID, the Yoga Teacher Alliance said, we will allow completely online, certifications. We will allow that now in the program because obviously it's impossible. So that's why this program got approved and is a verified program that you can take to get your Yoga Teacher Alliance certification, because of COVID. And apparently, beginning in 2023, so in a few weeks, they may be doing away with that, and it may go back to being in person. Like, you can't do an online class. So, you know, I wanted to do it now. Let's just get it over with, and like, I don't want to risk it. So, and now I guess I'll be like grandfathered in, I guess. I'm hoping, obviously. So yeah, so there's that. But this course was actually, it was on Teachable. So if you know, like, Thinkific, Teachable, those courses where you can just go and create, there's like modules, and it goes through like the different, you can unlock the next one after another, whatever. So this started out obviously with like an overview, like what is yoga, the different types of yoga. There's a huge section on anatomy, which is really interesting because obviously you don't necessarily like need to know that, but you need to know the human body. But it was like really in-depth stuff, right? And then a lot of the breathing and all of the ancient terms and all of that, the philosophies and stuff. They said, oh, they had like required texts that you were supposed to buy. You do not need to buy these textbooks. Do not waste your money on them. You don't. Just use Google. So after each of the modules, there was a quiz. And you wanted to aim for 80% or higher, right, on all the quizzes, which is pretty simple. Now, if you look and you like Google the questions, the answers are all on like those flashcard sites where they call Quizlet for the quizzes. So, and you could take the quizzes as many times as you wanted because it's more of like a study method. So yeah, so there's that. And then as you work your way through them, like the biggest section is like all the asanas. So it's basically like the most common ones. Obviously they didn't cover every asana, which are the yoga poses. But there's videos and audio and reading, and I liked reading this stuff. I didn't watch the videos. I didn't need to either. Like, I've been practicing this long. I don't need to necessarily see things like that. And even for like the anatomy sections, they had someone explaining things too, but I liked reading it. For me, I'm not listening to someone. That doesn't work for me. And it's all self-paced, so you go as fast or as slow as you want. Obviously, I could breeze through tons of sections. Other sections I read a little bit more into for things that I didn't know, but yeah, it's totally self-paced, so you could take like a year to complete this if you wanted to. I don't know why you do that, but yeah. And then there was two, so besides just taking all the quizzes and making sure you understand what you're going through, there were two assignments. So the first one was the sequence assignment. So this was basically because we're not there and we can't actually teach a live class, you had to script out 8 different classes. So basically they were supposed to be about 45 to 60 minutes, and they have to include, you know, your intro, your warm-up, sun salutations, like the peak poses, like the whole peak sequence, and then obviously like a cool down, you know, floor, back, that kind of stuff, and then savasana at the end, which could take up like 15 minutes, so you can kind of like throw that in there at the end and make it really long. And yeah, you had to do 8, I keep saying 7, 8 different ones. And so basically there was a lot of copy and pasting, because once you write down like your first sequence, you're going to be reusing a lot of those poses, obviously. I mean, it's all general. You're going to be using the same poses in multiple sequences. So you can kind of copy and paste, but it's all like every single side. So the right side, the left side, you have to do all of it. Like, you have to write all the cues. So you have to have at least like 2 to 3 cues and modifications. So let's say you're like, my aim is always to be teaching someone more of an advanced class. I want to be teaching like level 3 classes. I'm not interested in the basic classes. I think the market is so saturated with like restorative beginner yoga. Like, I'm so sick of that, because for me, as someone who's been practicing this long, I struggle to find hard enough classes. Like, I want the power vinyasa flows, the strong, hard, let's go actually work out kind of yoga, and it's hard to find that. So but basically in these sequences, you're supposed to write, you know, cues for modifying poses too. So if that's using a block or a strap, or just if you're injured, do it this way, do it that way. But yeah, so once you got those done, which, you know, were a few pages long, it was kind of, they gave you a template and then you go in and you can edit. So if you just do it in a Google Doc, it's pretty simple, and it's just copy and pasting. Once you get the majority of the general like asanas and poses in there, you can kind of like switch them around. So it was like a little puzzle. You kind of want to put together little things. And then they even have sections on like music and stuff. So like they even have playlists you could be using and all that. They have some templates and different things in there for when you actually go on to teach yourself. The other assignment was observation. So this, you could either go to real life classes and be like, you know, go to the studio or go to this instructor and be like, hey, can I just watch your class? This is part of my training. And then you have to fill out some notes, just different things that you noticed, you know, how did they help students? Did they help with alignments? Did they ask permission to touch the students before they align them? What were some of the peak poses? How did they address the class? How did they end the class? That kind of stuff. So you had to do 8 of those as well. But you could also do online classes. So you could use YouTube and find, you know, group teaching classes. I have a personal subscription to My Yoga Works, and I usually just do like normal videos that I would follow. You know, obviously the person had to be teaching someone, so it couldn't be just like an instructor, you know, with like a voiceover doing it. They had to have students in the class. But that was pretty simple. I honestly thought that was kind of harder than the scripting. And then after that, so the final thing, after going through all the modules and learning everything, was the final exam. So the final exam, you have 2 tries and you have to get an 80% or higher. And it was like 100 questions, I believe, 100 something, 200 questions. It was long. So it was basically taking questions from like all the quizzes and other ones and different ones and just answering them. So it was how the quiz was set up, but it was a lot of questions. Yeah, so as long as you know your stuff, and you could go back into all the sections while you're taking that final exam, you could go back in to the different units and try to find the answers and stuff like that. So it wasn't like difficult. And obviously if you, for some reason, didn't pass after 2 tries, they're gonna work with you and help you out, you know? So after all that, then so everything in the Teachable platform, they can see. Like they can see that you did all the quizzes, that your score on the final exam, and then the 2 assignments, you sent those separately in an email to them saying, hey, I completed the final exam, I completed the assignments, let me know if I passed. So then they take up to like 2 weeks or so to review everything, and then they send you back notes. And then either they gave me some notes on like my sequencing, and they were like, oh, but you're approved. So like it wasn't like something where you have to go back and fix it. Obviously, if you like really didn't do the assignment properly, you're probably gonna have to go back and fix. And then they say, hey, please confirm your legal name, and we will get your certificate printed up. And they did that, and they sent it over in an email, and there you go. And then I just went onto the Yoga Teacher Alliance website and submitted it. So it was pretty simple. Obviously, I think that's too simple. And if someone is brand new and they take that and they think they can just go and teach after that, I wouldn't recommend it. You know, and even getting like the certification doesn't mean you have to teach. It's just kind of like a way to further your knowledge. Further your knowledge just for yourself, for more enrichment, which may be what I do. But I'm thinking I want to do some like private lessons. I don't know, like maybe I would teach at a studio. Like if you need a substitute yoga teacher, I 100% would do that. Pick up a few classes. There's tons of studios around here. And obviously like teach some like little group lessons on the beach or something like that. It could be fun. And now I just have, I don't know, that backing. And they also tell you like how to get insurance. Like if you are teaching at a studio, sometimes they make you carry your own insurance. It's called like B Yogas. I don't know, but it's pretty cheap. It's like $25 a month, I believe, to have this to cover you. Because obviously anything physical like that, you should probably have insurance. But there's also like disclaimer forms you can have people fill out and all that. So right now I'm also working on making like a little static landing page or website or just a little flyer that digitally I could send people, be like, hey, this is how much you charge per hour, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so I mean, I'm glad I did it and now I can finally say that. I don't know, it was cheap. So usually teaching, like, especially obviously in-person ones, thousands of dollars. So anywhere from like, I don't know, like $2,300 to like $4,000, like crazy expensive. This class, and this program is always running discounts, so you can always find it cheaper. It was like $347, I think, and then like with tax, it was like $390 something. I don't even know. But obviously, like, why would I pass that up? So I was like, crap. Like, they're like, oh, the discount will expire on October 6th. Like, I don't think it was really gonna expire, because then they had a huge Black Friday sale. And then obviously they're gonna try to like sell you the 500 hour too. It's like, I don't really think I need that right now. But knowing that this was like so simple, and I am so used to teaching myself things, like everything, like college, I taught myself everything to get through and get my degree because it was all online. And like, that was kind of how it felt. So as long as you have the motivation and you're gonna do it, like I kind of set up a schedule. Like I have different deadlines during the week of when I'm gonna finish this, when I'm gonna finish that. Otherwise, I would have, bought that and maybe not have worked on it. But, it depends. But if you are busy and you do have like a full-time in-office job, it's self-paced. It doesn't run out. You can always complete it whenever. But again, I don't know the whole 2023 and getting the certification and being online now. I'm not sure. So it was pretty cheap, obviously, but that's because it was self-paced. It's not a live thing. They do have live Zoom classes that you can join if you want to, all this stuff. So they have a lot of other resources. There's a huge Facebook group, super, super helpful and fun, and you just ask any question. Everyone's really active in there. There's almost like 1,500 people in there, or 15,000 people. But yeah, they have a ton of resources they give you and all of that. So I definitely would recommend it as like, if you want to get that 200 hour and you don't have the time to do an in-person thing, it's the best way to go. So I do have a referral link or whatever I will have in the description of this, but it's the most affordable option and the most affordable way to do it. And it has all the information that you need. Like, it's not, you're still gonna learn the same things, it's just in a different kind of format. If you are someone who learns better in person, maybe it's not for you, but there are the videos, there are the actual live Zoom calls with the instructors and stuff, and I think it's good. So if you have been practicing yoga for a while, I definitely would suggest it. If you've never done yoga in your life, maybe not. I don't know, it depends. If you have a lot of like self-motivation and stuff, go for it. But I would start doing some like yoga videos on YouTube and the different sites and stuff like that, because you should have some sort of background, I think, before you go into it, obviously. But yeah, if you're really looking to get that just certification just for yourself, or maybe to start teaching, I would do it. Yeah, but I think that is it for now. I will see you again next week. And if you have any questions, leave them down below, let me know. So give this video a like, subscribe, please subscribe. And yeah, I will catch you guys here next week.